Hello! Welcome to Utsmaya Diaries, where you will meet the humans behind Utsmaya with Mamtha Rajesh, the founder, and myself, Mihika Rajesh, the co-founder of Utsmaya.
So, when I started my counseling training in the year 2000, I, for the longest time, genuinely believed that I had this desire to go out and help people. And in the second decade of my profession, as I was in my own therapy and my own counseling sessions, and I was working actively on my inner child healing, that's when I realized that the actual reason I got into this line, what drew me was perhaps my own subconscious need to heal my own inner child. And somewhere the profession was helping in that. And now that I'm in my third decade of the profession, I've completed 26 years, this is my 27th year running. I'm able to see that yes, a part of it is about helping people, a part of it is about healing my own inner child. But today, what I see most clearly is how my own childhood has impacted my choices. Looking back, I now see how lonely I was as a child, and my only escape, my only solace was Amar Chitra Katha comics. And while it helped me to survive the loneliness, I think it is that loneliness which is perhaps there in every human being. I think it is my desire is to touch and contact another human being and create a connection to acknowledge that loneliness and help them in their journey. This loneliness may be there for a few minutes, maybe there for a few days or a longer phase, but my desire is to really make that connection with another human being who's going through whatever they're going through. So that's what drives me today. And when I did a life audit when I turned 50, I was so dissatisfied with what I had managed to achieve in my life till then. So I went about in full speed to make some changes, and one change that arose from that life audit was how can I take my work to touch more people beyond the people who come into my room for therapy. So yeah, that's my journey.
So, the wounded healer becoming
Absolutely, absolutely.
from one to one to one to many.
Yeah.
Lovely.
There's also a karmic purpose there, but that's for another day.
For our audience out there, this is, while the founder of Utsmaya, also my mother. So I wouldn't say so much her being a therapist influenced me. I think it was more my own journey, because as a child going through whatever I was going through, it didn't really occur to me that, oh, she's a therapist, so I also want to take that forward, because I don't think I was aware of the kind of work that you were doing as a kid. But I think it was just my experience in school which really put me into a shell, because there was so much going on for a child in school, from my teachers not understanding me to a lot of bullying, shaming from teachers, peers. Broke my confidence completely, to the point that I think at around age 6, I had lost confidence to talk, just because I believed I was not smart enough to talk, from everything that I had heard from my teachers. And that journey of just struggling in school continued from grade 1 to grade 6, which is, I think, most of my formative years. So then she, of course, being a therapist, I think, recognized the value of giving me that space of therapy at age 14, and that's really the place that put my, if I could say, broken pieces back together. And that's where I realized that I have choice to pick up and hold on to what I want and let go of what I don't. So I think a lot of that journey and the support that I got from that place really helped me to say, this is what I want to do. And I had a full circle moment when I was studying psychology in undergrad, where I worked with school children over the summer break for 3 years, helping them with time management, leadership skills, life skills, and self-esteem. From being that child who needed it in school to holding space for that child who was going through that a similar journey. I think that closed the loop for me to say, yes, this is what I want to do, and this is the age group that I want to work with. And less of just, okay, my mom's a therapist, so I'll also do that. And I think how that came together very beautifully for us is when I became a little older, our paths crossed, our healing journeys or our healing paths crossed, where we said, hey, you know what? Because she's always been someone who's been working on herself for as long as I can remember. So I think that's where our paths crossed somewhere, which also was one seed to Utsmaya. But yeah, we'll come into that further in this conversation.
Utsmaya is a Sanskrit word which means to bloom, like a flower blooms. And I genuinely believe that perhaps for the first time in the history of mankind, we have abundance and excess. What I mean is whether it is excess or access. Access to knowledge, access to technology, access to medical care, access to opportunities. Perhaps today, more than ever in the history of mankind, we have so much of it possible. And yet, perhaps for the first time in the history of mankind, has man been so unhappy. We have increasing instances of mental health issues, physical illnesses. There's just so much pain. The world is just so much disconnected. And I genuinely think that today the world needs healing more than ever. Perhaps the world has always needed it, but perhaps today more than ever. So that's one part that was the driving thought, that I wanted to go out and help touch more people. Why Utsmaya? Because while I believe everybody has some or the other emotional wound, not everybody needs therapy. Not everybody reaches out for therapy.
Correct.
If there are 100 people out there and 100 people have some problem or the other, maybe 10 of those will reach out for therapy or support or some form of self-help, maybe YouTube videos, maybe self-help books. And out of the 10, maybe 1 or 2 might reach out for therapy. So my thought was, how can I use my 26 years of experience, knowledge? Between Mihika and I, we together hold training and skill set to work with people who are pregnant to infancy stage, early childhood, late childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, middle age, and geriatric issues, sexuality related issues, marital issues. So between the two of us, we actually have the training for all of these, and I thought maybe we can just take a little of information, a little bit of knowledge out in workshop format, and maybe there is that one person who just needed a little insight, a little perspective shift, a little nudge, and maybe that's all they need to find that missing elusive piece which might make them possibly happier, more content. And that's what made us come together.
I think for me it was also a little like a personal aspect to the first idea of doing something together came from just watching our, like I was saying earlier in the conversation, of our paths, healing paths crossing, where we went for a couple of training programs together. And I think for me it was, I mean, let's be honest here, you are human. You might have been a therapist, of course, professionally, but as a mother you are human and you have probably made a few mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so for me to have carried some of those
beliefs,
some beliefs, limiting, shameful beliefs that maybe you had as well, which you began to shed, and here I was carrying that unknowingly, but it was such a, wait a minute, she's the one who's told me some things, some beliefs, some values, but here I am, I'm seeing a shift in you, and I was like, wait, why am I restricting myself? Or, why am I having these harsh thoughts? And
why are you holding on to what was
is-
not yours in the
yes.
first place?
And why have,
Yeah.
if I've got it from you, of course, I didn't know I have got it from my mom, but I think, we all carry things from our families and parents, right? So for me to say, okay, if you've let it go, then why am I still carrying and holding on to this? And that awareness of healing is a choice.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you healing doesn't heal me, but you being wounded wounds the child, right? But it doesn't necessarily go the other way of you choosing to heal doesn't heal me. So that's where I think the power of choosing to heal and relationally being able to do that, I think was a very beautiful, powerful seed for me, which then said, hey, can we do something
together?
Because, of course, both of us are therapists. We are a mother-daughter duo. We are 2 generations coming together. So how do we hold that space and take that forward to the world was something that I think for me was the first thought. And for you, it seems like you've always had this desire to say, okay, how can I do something more for the world than just that one person who chooses to come into your space. So you're ready with a desire and a vision. I don't know what to call it. It was like an aha moment of, hey, wait, if mom's not holding on to this, why am I holding on to it? And just that whole, the 2 worlds meeting, I think was really the seed for, well, not Utsmaya. Today, Utsmaya. Back then, I think it was just what could we do together, which then eventually took form to becoming Utsmaya, a space of wellness, a space of just being human.
Yeah.
And admitting to our weaknesses and
owning ourselves.
I think owning ourselves. It's not just the space of, hey, we offer therapy, we do breath work and workshops, but I think it's really bringing a little bit of Mamtha, a little bit of Mihika into the work and the workshops, and bringing our shared journeys, personal journeys of healing, of pain, of qualifications, everything into the space that we want to create for people. And I think that's, if you could really say vision for the next, for Utsmaya, forget how many years, for Utsmaya, how would you say the vision is for Utsmaya?
I think because of the kind of life all of us live today, the world really rewards those who are not dealing with the pain. Those healing is not rewarded so much, pausing is not rewarded so much, hustle is rewarded, not pausing. Healing is not rewarded, but pushing through the pain and being numb is there are a lot of opportunities for that. So my endeavor is, my passion, my dream, my endeavor is, if the people who cross paths with Utsmaya, if they are able to meet their disconnected part and begin the process to reintegrate that part to themselves so that they become whole again, my purpose is more than served.
Yeah, I agree. I think in a way you just said what I experienced the first time, my first experience with therapy offered, right?
Exactly.
Picking up of the broken pieces and putting them back together, but by choosing what I want to hold on to and what I want to let go with gentleness, with compassion.
Yeah.
And that's really what really said, hey, I want to do this work. So this is yet another loop getting completed here of holding that space for people to pick up their pieces. It doesn't necessarily have to be broken, but just picking themselves up and connecting with themselves.
Become whole again.
Yeah, and become whole again. Beautiful journey. And I think for both of us finally finding, coming up to this form of Utsmaya, this version of Utsmaya has been a struggle for us as well. Right?
Totally.
We've gone through variations and versions and offerings and failed and collapsed and failed, almost given up and
failed
started
spectacularly.
And started again. So that's also been like,
that's life.
Yeah, I think this is one thing that has, I think this is what really connected with us as well than everything else we've tried earlier. So in a way, this is what was whole for us,
Yeah.
which we bring to our work here at Utsmaya. So I'm really glad that we're doing this. So yeah,
Yeah.
um,
That's our story.
and that's me.